Hello Tech Genius, I am Ravi. Have you ever imagined a place where learning is as dynamic as the technology shaping your world? Then here's a deal. With iMatix, you can make sure the learning is exciting, impactful right from the beginning. You have interactive sessions with expert-led courses. In the world of tech, from data science to cloud computing, it's not just about a session, it's about doing, building, learning by solving real problems. So let's get started. We will generally go for the lock and roll option. Lock as in you are locking the current rule set and you are rolling the changes into a new rule set. That's why it's called the lock and roll. What happens? You are locking the current rule set and you are rolling the changes into an immediate next higher rule set. And within this lock and roll, we have three different options again. Lock and roll comes with three different options. Do not update my application. Second one is update the application to include the new rule set version. The third one is create a new version of the application. Three things. What are those? Do not update my application. Update the application to include the new rule set. The third one is create a new version of the application. We will be practically implementing all of these three today. No worry. Before that, let's try to understand how this lock and roll works, and then we will jump back to the implementation part. For example, when you start the application or when you start building it, initial version or the base version will have a lot of rules. Correct. Because that's probably the first implementation you're working on and you will have a lot of rules. Going forward, when you keep on, suppose you have the next version of the application, something like 01, 01, 02. Will you be modifying all the rules that are available in 01, 01, 01? Whatever is important or probably whatever had some defects or whatever is part of enhancements, we will be touching only those rules. It's not mandatory that I have 100 rules in 01, 001. All those 100 would be modified in 001, 02. No, not mandatory. Now let me just show this particular thing here. The simple scenario here where the original, the first or the base version 01101 for example has three rules. Rule A, B and Rule C. Whereas after your initial version of 01102 which only has a Rule A being updated. Whereas Rule B and Rule C are still part of 00101. I did not touch those rules. Now there is one more version coming up, this 010103 where I've updated Rule B and Rule C. Then on the third patch 0104 Rule B is updated again. Now if I would like to ask what is the version of Rule A that the system would pick, from which version would it be? Would it be from original patch, second patch or third patch? For A, it will be from the first patch. Exactly, because the most updated rule or the most updated version of that Rule A lies with the first patch. Then for Rule B, from the third patch. Second patch, perfect. The system is going to pick the highest version of each rule instance. Even though you might have different versions, the system will always try to choose or resolve the rules depending upon their availabilities. We will talk about rule resolution. That's an entire algorithm which says how a guy is going to identify the rules, probably in the next couple of sessions. But until then, the rules are resolved or the rules are identified depending upon the versions. Let us consider the highest version of the rule would be picked for each rule instance. Now I think we will go ahead. We will see how this is going to work. Let us go to the implementation part. We will see all the three different options that we have with regard to block and roll. Once we implement this, then we will come back and see the second option. PEGA has provided us with the results for this application version because this is not something that we do on a daily basis. No, it's not like creation of rules or like updation of rules. We wouldn't do this versioning every single day. We would focus this for a particular release. Once you're planning for a release, then we think of how are we going to version it or what major changes are we bringing on. We look at those things as inputs and then we start to version it. It might be for a sprint. Few projects have a release for each sprint. Few projects have a release for every 3 months or for 2 months. That frequency depends upon the kind of release you are looking at. But this is not something that every developer does every day. No, it's not like chickens and checkouts. It's something we do for a purpose when you are trying to have releases on your application. I'm directly launched onto the Dev Studio this time because I've changed the default portal earlier for this access group. My default portal used to be Admin Studio, but now we changed it to the Dev Studio. First, let me just open the application definition. We'll just have a look at the rule sets. Because when I version the application, which means my rule sets are being versioned, correct. Look at the inserts and we will see what versions of the rule sets are available. We'll just have a look, then we'll proceed for the lock and roll options. Here comes my application rule sets. O1. If you observe, by default we will only be in the major and minor versions here on these rule sets. Generally, patch versions would not be listed out, which means all the versions are by default included in this rule set. Starting from 01 until 99 is considered as part of this rule set unless explicitly given. Suppose I give 0165, which means only until 65 or only until 00165 we will be able to handle the rules here. Anything beyond the 65 version will not be available or will not be considered as part of this specific application, or at least for this particular operator. By default, in most of the scenarios it goes with major and minor version mentioned on the rule sets. Let me just open rules and RS. And like I said, this lock and roll or the skimming, the application version, is considered part of a separate wizard. Because when you are going to version an application, definitely some steps are involved. It's not like just I click something, I create an application. No, it has a proper set of wizard to look after the process. Let me open the wizard and click on Configure. The application structure in there. And then your rule set step. I'm going on to the Configure Application Structure and Rule Set step. Here is my rule set HRS. Currently with version, it is not currently locked. This is the status that I have before performing any sort of machine. Lock and roll is best suitable for your patch related versioning or until the minor versioning also. Both of these scenarios, we can go for lock and roll. This lock and roll is a separate wizard here. Here you see I've launched onto this screen where I get to see the application, then the rules corresponding to each of the rule sets. Now here comes your option lock and roll. There's one more option called package and roll. That comes when you would like to export a copy of your current application and then you want to increase it. You can go for package and roll. But now I'm not looking at the deployment or the packaging. We are looking at just locking and rolling. Let me choose this lock and roll option. The lock and roll gives you options of which or what is the next version you are trying to look at. By default, it will give you a version, but if required, you can also change it. Here comes a list of all the available rule sets. Now I would like to sort all I would like to lock, and then you can also give me a password, and you can also set into which version you are going to roll it. By default, the systems are just the patch, that's why you see O1, O1, O2 as default. But if required, I can jump across the patches, or if required, I can also directly jump onto the minor versions as well. For example, let me roll it and I would like to roll it to O1, O1, O2. Let me change the description of the rule set that I would like to see what is being updated. I will give you a password, also that existing ones have to be locked. This is just a best practice whenever you are implementing your rule set versions. Always lock existing version. When we give password, it will lock the O1, O1, O2. It will lock the previous versions. Exactly, this is for locking O011, whereas your O1, O2 is open for editing. I mean, that's like the current latest version that I have. Any new changes will go in O012 this time because O101 is locked. And yes, it is a good practice that always at any given point of time we should have only one open version of rule set, because it should not create an ambiguity. If you have like multiple developers in the team, everyone should focus on one particular version. Few divide rules to O1, O1, O1. Do it to O01, O2. This is not a good practice. It creates a lot of ambiguity. And then there comes my three different options. Do not update my application. Update my application to include versions. Create a new version. Let's see. I will go with do not update my application, which means let us run this first. Which means you are increasing your rule sets, you are incrementing it, you are locking the existing one, you are creating a new version O1, O1, O2, everything is good. But this does not reflect on the application rule. For example, now you see what is the current version that you see is O1, O1, O2, which means this wizard is successful. Let us just go back. Let me see the as my H's. Ideally, what should happen is O1, O1, O1. Yes, it is locked, whereas O1, O1, 2 is available for editing. There is a change on the rule set which is as expected, good. But do I see any changes on the application directly on the HRs? No, I don't see them. Here I still see the rule set as HRs O1, O1 only. That's the reason when you are using patch increments or when you want minor enhancements to be done, you can go for do not update my application. This is not directly impacting anything on the application layer. But when you go into the rule set layer, I see O1, O1 is locked. Now any new changes can be brought in O1, O1, O2. Application directly, just that the rules sets have been updated. Clear with this option. Do not update. Why it is do not update? This time let's go with the second option and refresh this wizard. This time I should see rule sets SRs O1, O1, O2. Yes, I see them. Let me lock them again. Earlier, only new version of rule set is created, but nothing is changed on the application layer. This time we will see what happens. Again, I'm going to lock. And it's not necessary that all of these should be locked and rolled. Maybe your changes could be only on the application rule sets. These two alone. It's not mandatory that all the rule sets should go into new version. Not at all. Let me lock it. This time what I'll do is we'll roll into O1, O2, O1. For example, this time I have some minor enhancements. Oh, and I would like to change the description as well. If you look at the earlier description, yes, we had O1, O1, O2. This time I'll make it O1, O2, O2. I'm going to use a second option this time. Update my application to include the new rule set versions. We're incrementing the rule sets. Along with that, you're also updating your application. What I'll do is maybe I'll update the description as well. I would like to update the description as the application this time. Let's see what happens. Now I should see a change from O11, O2 to O1, O2, O1. Let's see. Seems like the current version has become 01, 02, 01 and the system is suggesting next one could be 01, 02. Now let us go back to my rule set. Now I see 01, 02 as the latest version. Let's refresh this. Would there be a change now? Would there be a new version? From 01, 02, now we have a new version which is 01, 02, 01. Yes, it is reflecting on my rule set. Now, will this reflect on the application? Do you think this HRs will be modified as well? Yes, it does. Let's refresh this and you see even the application definition also modified with the new one which we have given 01, 02, 01. I see a new application definition and I also see the change in the version here which is 01, 02 this time. Earlier it is 01, 01 only. With whatever patch, how many ever patch changes you make, the same 01, 01 would still remain here. But now as we have chose the option as update my application to include the new rule set, now I see 01, 02 coming up on my application definition. But this did not create a copy of any new application, and that is that the existing application is modified, is updated. Clear with this option, update to include the new rule set versions. Now the last one, the interesting one is, let us just refresh this. What is the last one say? Let me knock and roll. This time again all of these. Let me roll all of this to new version. I will put it to on 0 through 01. But ideally we wouldn't jump this quick when it comes to minor or patch version. We would take it like for each release. First we will start increasing the patch versions to look after your defects and bug fixes. Then if there's an immediate enhancement, you will go for the minor version increment. Let me also update the description to 03. This time, third option is create a new version of my application. Here you are creating an entire new version of your application, along with your rule sets, along with their versions. Here, an entirely new application instance is going to be created, and you can choose what its version is going to be. I let it be go through 01. 01. The description is going to be HR services. 01. Let's see what happens this time. An entirely new application version should be created. What does it say? The application HIS has been rolled from and to, and you may need to update your access groups or application stack to use the new version. It says an entirely new application is created. Please manage your access groups accordingly. The same? What happened? Let us see. Would there be a change in the rule set now? If I refresh, can I see 01, 03, 01 this time? You should. You should be seeing 01, 03, 01, which is the current latest version of this rule set. Perfect. Then what about the application? Let me open the application. Will I see any changes here directly on this application? No, I don't see any. I still see O2, and even the rule sets also show O1, O2 only. Then where is my change? What is that third option that we have done? Create a new version. Where is it created? That is created as a separate application instance. Now, when you look at this, let me show the application instances. You see, with HRs now I see two instances. One is with 00101, with whatever updates you have brought, that is there. Along with that, there is ARS 01, 03, 01, which is the new application instance that is created. An entirely new application version is created. Let us open this. Here, what do you see on the HRS? Yes, you see the updated definition. What about the rule set? You see 0103 this time. But what about the earlier one? Earlier is still until 0102 itself. This scenario is used when you have, or when you want to have, multiple people have access to these two different applications. Probably for controlled releases, and all you can go for this particular option. This is handled as two different applications now. See the access group, for example. Currently this access group HRS is pointing to 01, 01, 01. But now you see I have HRS but with two different versions. Is 01, 01, 03, 01. I can restrict people from accessing the older version of the application and the newer version of the application. That is handled as an entirely separate application. Clear with these three different options. Do not update to include rule set. Then the last one is create a new copy of the application. When the operator will log in, and if we go to application definition, the user will be able to see the application which is mentioned in his or her access group. Exactly. Correct. Currently this user is able to access only 010101, which means he can only access this particular definition, which means he can only access until 01, 02 as these rules. Anything beyond 01, 02 he cannot access those rules. Like, which means only the base copy or existing copy, whatever he is working on, he will be able to continue on that itself. The new enhancements that you might have made in 01, 03 will not be impacting for him. This part of 01, 03, which if I only have access until 01, I am limited only until that. Beyond that, I cannot handle the rules, or I cannot. Now, in fact, I will not be able to access them at all. Clear with this. This is what I was talking about. Let us just have a quick look at this. Do not update your application. You will only be incrementing your patch options most of the times. and that does not have to be updated on your application definition. Whereas update my application will have that change that you brought. It will be available on the application definition itself. Whereas third one, you can have specific people only to access your latest version of the application. The regular developers, they can still continue working on their old actions. That is handled like separately as two different applications. Clear with this? Perfect. All these things that we have seen, lock and roll and all, seems good. Like when I have a limited number of rule sets, probably 10 to 15 rule sets, I can start selecting each one of them, deselect, and then I can give it some passwords for it, lock it, which is kind of what if I have a lot of rule sets. It's a huge enterprise application you're working on. Every time I cannot keep on checking those boxes and then giving in the passwords. It's kind of a tedious job, isn't it? And also I cannot have the copy of the rules being carried out for every release. What we do is we come with a process called skimming. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.